From now till when the leaves fall is probably the best time of the year for hiking. There are fewer bugs, cooler temperatures, and of course foliage as we get into September and October. Greg Westrich appreciates all those things. He is the author of the new book, Hiking New Hampshire, a guide to the state's greatest hiking adventures. Wait, New Hampshire? I get what you may be thinking, and we addressed it right at the start of our conversation. I know that some people are going to get a little wigged out that we're featuring on 207, a book on hiking in New Hampshire, but you live outside of Bangor and you're able to get over to New Hampshire a lot to hike. So that's really not a good excuse for most people in Maine, is it?
No, in fact, when I told my wife that you wanted to interview me about this book, she's like, really? And I was like, you realize that Mount Washington is closer to Portland than Bangor is. So it's not that far, but no, it's not unreasonable. It's closer to go to the White Mountains for most of the people in Maine than it is to go up to Katahdin.
What's even more important, perhaps, is that there is a lot of great hiking in New Hampshire, right?
Absolutely. One thing that's really different about Maine and New Hampshire in terms of hiking is Maine is so much bigger. You know, Maine's half in New England, so the hikes in New Hampshire tend to be much more concentrated, and when you're on top of one mountain, you're surrounded by other mountains a lot more than in Maine. A lot of times you climb a mountain and you see mountains in the distance, but it's kind of isolated. There are lots and lots of good hikes. This book has 100 hikes in it, and I could have put twice that.
Let's talk about some specifics. I asked you to give us 3 hikes, an easy one, a moderate one, and a strenuous one. Your pick for the easy hike was the Devil's Hop Yard,
yes,
which is not far across the Maine border in northern New Hampshire, not too far from Berlin, right?
Yeah, it's in the town of Stark.
But nobody knows where Stark is.
That's probably true. And there's a state park with a really pretty lake and a beach that is where the trailhead is. You just hike in. The hike, it's 2.5 miles in and out. Almost no climbing, except within the Devil's Harp Yard, you do a little bit of climbing. And it's fun because it's a lot of clambering around on rocks, and there's just these towering cliffs on the sides. There's a lot to see. It's a lot of fun.
I asked you for a hike of moderate difficulty. You chose Mount Crawford. I believe the closest town is Bartlett, which is not all that far from North Conway. What is it that you like about Mount Crawford?
You start to climb the hike by crossing the Saco River near its head, and then you just climb. You climb a little over 2,000 feet in about 2.5 miles. When you get to the top of the mountain, every direction is just spectacular mountains. Every other direction you look, it's mountains, mountains, mountains. It's just amazing views from the top.
Let's end with a strenuous hike, and just in our short little review here. Bald-Faced Circle is what you chose,
yes,
and this is a distinctive one because it kind of straddles the Maine-New Hampshire border.
Right, and it is steep. And it just goes and goes and goes on this bare rock. And then when I started, I was like laughing to myself. I was like, seriously, this is the trail? And you get up and then you break above all the trees and you just have this amazing view. And then after that, you just skip across the summits until you drop back down.
My own opinion is I'm always frustrated when I hike and then I get to a summit and you can't really see much because there are too many trees. And on a lot of these peaks in New Hampshire, when you do get to the top, you are rewarded with good 360-degree views because there are no trees or maybe limited numbers of trees.
Yeah, that's often the case. There are a number of the 4,000 footers that do have wooded summits, and when I hiked them, I was like, oh, really?
all this work and no payoff?
But usually even on a wooded summit, a lot of times there are ledges or cliffs near the summit that offer you good views. So even if the journey to the top should be what you're doing it for, not necessarily the top itself. And if you get a view from the top, well, that's just icing on the cake,
Yep, it's about the journey, not the destination. Again, the book contains information on 100 hikes all over the state. It is Hiking New Hampshire by Greg Westrich, who is also the author of the guide Hiking Maine and several other hiking books.